Hi, friends, and welcome to Talking to Fence People. Is my mic not working? Doesn't appear to be. Microphone checking. Anybody hear me? Am I hearable? Am I hearable by the people? I don't see any indication of mic. Can anybody hear me? Am I audible? Is there audio? My question. I am hearable. Okay, so it's just a little meter that's not working, I guess. Okay, well, anyway, I read an interesting article on the purportedly promising antiviral drug being talked about as a way to address COVID. And it's called Remdesivir. Uh-oh. Did you have a run-in today, old mate McGraw? Did you have a run-in? Sorry to hear that. So, anyway, the drug called Remdesivir. And it's an antiviral that was originally tested and developed as a treatment for a disease or whatever called what's FTP? Oh, fuck the police. No, it's also a disease for it's the initials of a cat disease. The cat disease is called FIP. I mistitled that, actually. I need to fix that. Let's see. How do I do this? God damn it. FIP is what it should say. Let's see if I can edit that here. Edit. FIP. Eric, FIP, not FTP. FIP. It's called feline meow. It's called feline infectious peritonitis. Was a disease that was thought to be incurable, 100% fatal. But there was this drug that Gilead is a drug making company, invented this drug called GS-441524, which is now called by its name, whatever what's called, Remdesivir. Remdesivir. All right, so the thing is, they had originally designed this drug to be an antiviral to treat Ebola. So originally Ebola came around, and this company, Gilead, decided to come up with an antiviral drug that would treat Ebola, that would save people with Ebola. But this drug that they came up with was ineffective against Ebola. So they decided to test it. There was this particular scientist in their company, I guess, who had a side interest. He was a cat lover who had a side interest in this disease called FIP, which is feline meow. And the thing about that is, when they tested it against this cat disease amongst cats who had this 100% fatal disease, it was 100% effective. So in other words, it had been the case that when cats contracted this disease, just like the coronavirus, just like COVID, most of the cats who contracted it experienced very mild or no symptoms. A very small subpopulation had a weird immune system response to it, and would die 100% of the time if they contracted like the serious version of it or whatever. Well, they got a control group of 10 initially, or they got a group of 10 cats that were infected them with it on purpose, and took 10 cats that were going to die from it, and administered this drug, and all 10 recovered completely. And so this scientist was like, Eureka. He did a more double-blindy kind of a test, and in fact, it was similar results. It cured almost all of them 100%. And so it's pretty rare that you find a solution that's that complete for any kind of problem, be it for cats or people. But in this instance, Gilead refused to proceed forward with testing on cats, even though it would cure the cat disease, because of the basic tenet of drug companies is don't do testing that produces data that you don't, unless you have to. In other words, don't create data that can inform you about negative things about your drug that you might then have to check out later if you don't have to. So in other words, if we were to test this fully for animals, then if the cats started showing some sort of bad side effect, we'd have to investigate those side effects and see if they're applicable to human beings and so forth, blah, 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 blah. Even if they're totally limited to cats, it assigns us an additional burden of work to do in terms of verifying the legitimacy of the drug we wouldn't otherwise have to do. So they didn't pursue the drug that cured feline IP. They didn't pursue it because they didn't want to generate cat data, right? Which then might be relevant. So instead, the reason was because they were still waiting around for the appropriate virus for this thing to be used for humans so they can make a lot more money on it. And eventually around comes COVID-19. The drug that works so well on FIP is currently available for people whose cats get this and are going to die 100% of the time, but it costs you about $10,000, and you have to get a black market from China. It's fairly easy to produce, and Chinese companies are producing it on the black market and selling it for cat owners whose cats are going to die. Basically, it's let's see how much you love your cat. If you love your cat $10,000 much, Meanwhile, it's not possible for cat owners to get the drug from American companies because they're afraid of meeting the criteria necessary for cat owners to be able to get the drug domestically and legally, because it might produce additional burdens for them regarding its possible human applications that have yet to be determined down the road. But regardless, Gilead foresaw that this drug would be useful in some capacity for some human thing, and they were looking at, as examples, things like Ebola, which is what it was originally designed for. Now, one thing to take away from this is that conspiracy-minded folk are going to see that Gilead has a vested interest in this a pandemic like this coming around that their antiviral might be able to treat. And they're going to conclude that because of the benefit that is incurred by the company when this pandemic occurs, that somehow the company is behind it, or that proves that somebody had a vested interest in starting this pandemic, and therefore it was caused on purpose or something like that. That's not a good thing to conclude. First of all, remember, Gilead is publicly owned. And one of the reasons that, there was a moment when, after a stretch of time into this COVID thing, my dad, who'd been stressed out about the portfolio and had been operating under the assumption that the stock portfolio was of equivalent value down to the amount that the stock market was down, because he has a fairly diversified portfolio. When he finally got around to actually checking to see what it was at, he discovered that it had been less negatively impacted than expected. And he called our financial management guy. And the reason that was explained to him that our portfolio was not in bad shape, even though in much less bad shape than most people's anyway, was because it just so happens we were reasonably well invested in Gilead and Amazon, both of which have skyrocketed in the aftermath of this COVID thing, given the circumstances and everything. Now, what's important to note is that's the reality of the people who own Gilead. They did not profit from this. They may have lost less than others. Very few people anyway, are so undiversified that this, on balance, benefits them financially. If anybody's going to try to argue that there's some sort of conspiracy for financial gain, that this is done because intentionally by some person or group in order to make money, that's crazy. It might, in theory, be done intentionally by some group to just create chaos or sow discord or kill a bunch of people or something like that, possibly. But I'm not saying I'm advocating that at all, but one thing I think we can successfully eliminate as a possibility is that anybody initiated this whole clusterfuck of a disaster for any financial reasons. Nobody gains from this. On balance. Nobody gains on balance. And as far as like ways to financially gain, it's like the amount of gain that you make by being heavily invested in something like Gilead it's like, in the face of the massive losses all around you in every other dimension, you're still going to feel the pinch. As the losses are global and systemic, and they're going to undermine the effectiveness of everybody in terms of self-sufficiency, opportunity, productivity. A lot of all the weak stuff died. Basically, we said, let's prevent biological selection of the fittest and compel economic selection of the fittest. We'll see what comes back and what doesn't, What have you missed? These fancy fingernails, they're green. As I've explained, these are not painted green. I just wash my hands so infrequently that moss has grown on my nails. Right. And I'm here to at least dismiss one possibility, okay? Nobody should think that this was implemented intentionally by any party for financial gain. Nobody, but nobody, has a net benefit financially from this clusterfuck of a disaster. When you factor in all the long, medium, and long-term economic contractions, everybody takes a hit on this, even those who are most well-positioned. So we can eliminate financial gain as a possible motivation for any quote-unquote conspiracy that might be behind this COVID thing. The thing that I would say about the conspiracies and the COVID thing in general is it's asking the wrong question, it's addressing the wrong problem, and it's missing the point, which is even if there were some sort of conspiracy to... Hey! 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 Cat fight. There's a cat fight going on up there. Okay, well, look, Waldo Udowski, even when you do bet on markets dropping, in other words, when you short, almost nobody is uniformly invested in one direction like that, And even if you are, you got to factor in the global contractions economically and how those are going to have medium and long-term impacts on everybody. Is that what it's called, the put option? So hopefully my cat's okay. I never did find her, but look around with this flashlight here. What? Yeah, she's right there. Oh, yeah, she has the key. The other cat's gone back there under the house. The other cat is in the house. Yeah. Well, I don't know. But it might have to be a cat. There is to be awesome. But there's a place here where there's a metal tank. When she comes in there, I'll come out here and put that there. I'm not sure. Well, we didn't have to. Yeah. Okay. I don't think the vaccine exists yet. What I'm talking about is this stuff called let me look at the name of it again. Remdesivir. Remdesivir, which is a drug that is highly effective on FIP, which is a cat disease, but has not been approved for this cat disease because this company had wanted to maintain the full, like they didn't want to impede it all on their ability to do human trials without having to factor in on a bunch of cat data they didn't want to factor in. So anyway, now people in America, if they want their cats to survive when they catch this disease, they have to order this drug black market from China. The company that makes this drug, Remdesivir, is called Gilead. And as I said earlier, Gilead is publicly owned and is in fact one of the stocks in my family's portfolio. It's helped us to be less negatively impacted, I guess, than many in terms of portfolio, but still negatively impacted. So the thing is, what I'm trying to get at here is that Any conspiracy that's based on the idea that this was done to make money, I call bullshit on it. On balance, so much more wealth is lost as a consequence of this than any possible concentration of the remaining wealth to single hands can make any possible sense. It's like there's no way anybody could have predicted or directed the world's response to this, which has been outrageously alarmist.
What happened to Kitty?
Oh, she's okay.
She's okay.
She's underneath the porch, though.
Okay.
And I
get scared.
Well, there's another cat under there, I think. That's where the fight occurred, was underneath there.
Oh.
And I ran out, and the other cat went. When I went and looked under the porch here, there's up against the house, with the porch against the house, there's tin that comes down to block it so that nothing can get underneath the house.
Okay.
A corner of one of those pieces of tin has been peeled back to create a hole big enough for an animal to get through. Probably by a raccoon or something.
Yeah.
So, obviously, the other cat went underneath the house. Now, Pee-Pee is not looking like she wants to escape that situation. She's looking like she still wants to do battle because she's still standing under there looking over the other cat.
Okay.
So, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but we left the panel to get out from underneath there open so that when Pee-Pee comes back in here, then I'll go close that panel.
Okay.
And tomorrow in the morning, I plan to go underneath there and see if I can address that issue with the 10 thing.
That sounds good. I'll help as much as I can. I like to help. Can I be in this with you because I love you?
Of course, yeah. Of course. You're always welcome, Joey. Who worked in tandem with China to create a worldwide panic over something with a 99.8% survival rate? Why would the World Health Organization work in tandem with China? Why? I mean, isn't it quite possible that because we have a World Health Organization that views their job in life as to alert people to things like pandemics, that if all you have is hammers, everything looks like a nail, right? Doesn't it make sense that they would err on the side of caution, quote unquote, and assume that people aren't going to listen to them because it can be hard to convince people of this, push this thing really hard, and then realize, oops, we pushed it too hard and everybody's actually listening to us and everybody's freaking out. Isn't that quite a bit more likely than some grand conspiracy to make this happen? Remember, to the extent that there's a conspiracy, it would have to be able to predict how the world was going to respond to this. And I find that very unlikely. Yes.
I don't think it's a raccoon because your garbage would be all over the place.
Okay, well, I'm not sure what it is, but what I can do is show you what I'm talking about.
That's fine. I just don't think it's a raccoon because they would have this all.
Well, it may not be a raccoon that still is under there, but it could be that a raccoon is what lifted up the corner in the first place. Because I don't think a cat could have done that.
No, or a possum.
So it's probably a raccoon that lifted up the corner, even if the raccoon no longer. Well, that's why I was saying you need to look at it, because I think you would disagree with that conclusion if you looked at it.
I'm not going to crawl under and look.
I'm not asking you to. I'm just telling you my information about it.
Okay, all I'm saying is it would not appear to be a raccoon because otherwise this would be all over.
Well,
it may have been originally.
Right.
Yeah.
But it is not currently a raccoon.
Yeah.
Right.
Because this would be incredible temptation.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Right. So what I think is it's another cat that's taking advantage of a hole that a raccoon opened up.
We had talked about that earlier. I mentioned trouble, and if we go take his balls off, maybe he'd be a little.
It also might be the orange cat.
I haven't seen the orange cat, and
I saw it yesterday.
Well, whatever. Okay.
So there's Kitty. And there comes Kitty.
It's so good to see you. Oh, I'm so glad that's over with. Oh, she's definitely in fight mode though.
Well, obviously, whatever was underneath there.
Yeah. Hi, Kitty. You did so good. You're hungry after fighting. Alright, we don't have much left for you. Actually, do we have any more left for you? I don't know. I'll have to ask Daddy. I'm sorry. No, we don't. Sorry. Oh. Yes, we do. Oh, thank you. You're welcome. It's not an oil, right? I don't want it yet. Sweet. But all right. Yep, this is for you, Miss. All right. Tuna for her, half can, whole can. Okay. There you go. Good girl. I was worried about you, Missy. I know you're in Adventure Time mode right now. After you. Here.
Thanks, Dad.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Well, I'm glad that's solved, but I think you're right.
Look, the thing to remember is that it's difficult to get people to agree with each other, as evidenced here, right? This is true for at all quote unquote levels of people, from the working poor to the dominant elite, quote unquote. It's difficult to get people to agree with each other. This doesn't benefit China. How does this benefit China?
I messed up your coffee because of the timing of everything.
What do you mean?
It's like powder's not going. It's not warm enough to mix. You
gotta put it in 2 minutes.
Okay.
How does this benefit China? It doesn't at all. Remotely. It still doesn't benefit China. You got to remember that the contraction of the U.S. market for them is going to be devastating. It would benefit China more to have let the pandemic sweep through China and kill a bunch of their people. That would have benefited China. He's trying to be, he's trying to be Tony Stark. That's all. What else would you do if you're Bill Gates at this point? Try to be Tony Stark.
Who's trying to be Tony Stark?
Bill
Elon
Gates.
Musk?
Bill Gates is trying to be Tony Stark. Save the world and whatnot. all it's really left for somebody like Bill Gates to do. I'm going to be this grand character of greatness and stuff. You're seeing things very myopically. I mean, that's just I'm short-sighted in my understanding. In reality, what you're saying is I'm looking at things through a non-intentional frame. I'm recognizing I'm not making the fundamental attribution bias that people typically make. That when things happen, it's because they were intended by somebody to happen that way. Almost very rarely is that the case on any scale larger than a very localized scale. It requires a lot of foresight, a lot of good intuition, and a lot of force to render a reality that you envision as the actual manifest reality. You're not understanding the way that dynamic systems work, chaotic dynamic systems. You're not understanding the way the power wells work and stuff like that, and the way the individuals work. We know what it looks like when one person has agreement of everybody. It looks like North Korea. That's the thing. I'm not coming to a conclusion about how this thing happened. I'm acknowledging that this is one of those emergent phenomena from a chaotic dynamic system. That when we try to link back single causes, we're mistaking the nature of phenomenon within the system. We're making a category error. That's not how systems like this operate. Of course, it's also the case that you don't operate in a way that allows you to see what I'm saying. You're too stuck in your frame. That's okay. You're going to continue to see things as causally reducible in ways when they aren't. Because you're not a meta-analyst, or at least you're not applying meta-analysis. You're not understanding that we have to analyze phenomena within the dynamics of the system that they emerge from. And we can't pretend as though all systems are the same and therefore subject to the same sort of analysis. We have to adjust our style of analysis according to the nature of the system and the way in which phenomena are expressed within that system. Right, well, you could also say, Isaac Roddy, that it's creating a groundswell of opposition against centralized control decisions like this because this has been such a clusterfuck of a disaster. Depends how you want to frame it, right? How do you know for sure that it's going to, on balance, end up empowering centralized power to constrict our freedom? How do you know that it's not instead going to be prompting the pendulum swing in the other direction? You'd have to be very confident that the long-term impacts on large scale in this chaotic system are going to be what you say they're going to be in order to initiate such a program as this and get your intended outcome. What makes these people so capable of making predictions in a chaotic dynamic system? Do they have magic powers that none of the rest of us have? Nobody else can make these kind of predictions and successfully see them through. What are you looking for? What are you doing?
There's things on your back. And
Okay, well, I agree that there are people's globalist agendas of varying kinds that often conflict with each other. There are people with nationalist positions of varying kinds that often conflict with each other. There are people with balanced, nuanced positions who understand things through an individualist or a centralized frame. And they have varying degrees, and they often come into conflict with each other. And that's called reality. Sorry, that's how it is. So to understand, those with globalist intentions win some battles and lose some battles. At the end of the day, they will always lose because they're mistaking the nature of law. Law is that which emerges from a nationalist perspective. It does not legitimately emerge from anywhere else, and all expressions of law are expressions of some state. So it's impossible to have a stateless society without having a lawless society. And it's possible to have an international body that has rule of law without acknowledging that it becomes the state then. So that's not going to happen. Nationalist forces all over the world don't want to relinquish nationalist power, including many of those who are reportedly teaming up with the globalists. Too many variables, too many parties, too many interests, too many considerations to even conceive of making accurate predictions of how some sort of action like this will play out globally. I mean, look, I tend to think the EU is a bad idea. The centralized regulation that it imposes on everybody is bad. That the move towards socialism that it sort of represents is bad. I would also note Britain exited the EU. So, like I said, there is widespread disagreement.
Yeah, my revolutionary spirit animal is against the EU too.
I'm opposed to the EU as well. But I mean, sure, that's possible. It doesn't change the fact that if we're fixated on that aspect of the question, we've already lost the important battle. The important battle is we have to understand that we are responsible for how we deal with things. We are responsible for our response. That this response has been as follows. You have an infection in your arm. Well, we better chop it off just to make sure it doesn't get gangrenous and consume the whole arm. No, why don't we treat the infection locally instead?
Ow. Ow. I've been fucking up all day. I'm so tired of COVID. I'm sad and I can't cry. It's like, I just washed this dress. This is going on. I don't even know. Kitty got into a fight. Someone help me cry.
Well, you can't exercise that law with my woman. You know
What?
Tracks. The law of first night.
No, you have that.
Yeah.
You're the king.
I promise, even though I'm the king of talking with famous people, not to try to exercise the law of first night upon any community.
Hell no.
Okay.
Hell no. Who even had that one? What? Who, what, when, where, why, and how? I'm not on camera, right?
No, you're not on camera. Oh, wait, there's a mirror there. I mean, now you're fine.
Okay.
You're fine now.
Thank you.
I don't want people to get free nudie pics.
No.
So, look, is it true that there are always multiple forces arguing and advocating in different directions for different reasons, some of whom share interest in some areas and some of whom don't share interest in other areas, and so forth? Yes, absolutely. But the whole point of this video is how, even though we can find individual parties that benefit from this virus, such as the Gilead company, it is not the case that we ought to feel as though is some cause to conclude that therefore it's a conspiracy involving the Gilead company to make money.
Oh. Why are these things so stupid?
Right. And there's also what Curious Kyra says here, which is there's a very real possibility this is a naturally occurring phenomenon. And that, as with other equivalent naturally occurring phenomena, our best course of action is to let it run its course. So this title is specifically about the drug produced by Gilead that has potential to treat COVID successfully. And the reason is because it treats a very similar disease in cats. And it's a disease in cats that most cats that get the disease experience few or no symptoms, get over it right away. But there are some cats who get who have a weird immune response to it, and it kills them 100% of the time if they have that response to it. Similarly to COVID, where you've got most people experiencing no harms or problems from it, and a very teeny fraction of parties experiencing dramatic harms from it. So in that regard, it's to be expected that the same mechanisms at play here, and that's why this Remdesivir drug that's produced by Gilead has a lot of potential. you are right, Horse Mumbler. It is not correct to conclude that simply because that a failure of event consequences to conform to the desired interests and intentions of an actor necessarily means they were not resulting from intentional actions. That's true. But the justifications that people make to justify conclusions that they were intentionally caused typically do presume that. So it's good to point out that if you're going to use that logic, then you have to defend against. You're based on the logic that people often use. There's a presumption that there is an ability of interested parties to predict their outcomes, the outcomes of their actions, with this sort of magical certainty. And what my point is that's not the case. And so these current outcomes may not be in conformity with the desired outcome of an interested party who would hypothetically have launched this on purpose, which makes it very difficult to conclude whether or not anybody has launched it on purpose. And also makes it irrelevant because we do have people to blame for the disastrously bad overreaction to the problem. The more you do research, the more you would be stupid if you didn't believe what? If I didn't believe what? That it was intentionally caused? You're not listening to me, Waldo. That's not the relevant consideration. That's not something we can do anything about or ought to do anything about unless we have conclusive proof that we know who it is, or maybe we should investigate it or something. Fine. What's the real problem? If we as a population of civilians in the world want to have some sort of control over the world in which we live, we need to change the way we respond to things, the way we talk about things. And right now, by talking about the wrong thing, you're undermining that process. It doesn't matter. Do you understand that? It doesn't matter. We have the power to respond differently by talking differently. We also have the ability to choose to be sucked into their frame with this kind of talk. If it is, in fact, a they out there, you are serving their interests right now by allowing the locus of control to leave where it belongs with us, the individual citizen, and how we talk about this thing and how we make decisions. People are going to believe whatever they want is right. But if you listen to me, we can have actual solvency on a long-term basis to this sort of problem. Treat the actual disease, not the symptom. Do you understand? So Vincere at Mori, are you saying that all these different interests that are independently testing solutions to this that might work so that they can profit off of it, that they're all colluding to make those interested calculations fail on purpose? That's what you're telling me. Now you're just not making any sense.
Hey, Sandy.
Rachel's got the blues tonight.
I do. And I don't know where it's coming from. It's just generalized blues.
I know where it's coming from. It's just accumulated sadness that you felt like you had to keep at bay because, you feel like you have to, for me or something, which you don't, but I appreciate it.
No, I never do. Yeah. Yeah, it's not even overthinking. I don't cry easily. Things don't really move me. So it takes sometimes a sad movie or a sad story that's real. Thanks, Morg. Yeah, it's just the blues. It really is. I'm so sick of talking about this stupid virus. I'm so sick of it. How can anyone else want to talk about this? There's so many other things that are going on in the world, and
there often are conspiracies. The CIA is a professional conspiracy organization.
Yes.
So is the NSA. It's what they do for a living, is professionally conspire. There's nothing wrong with the idea that there are conspiracies.
There will always be conspiracies
Of
about
course.
stuff like this.
But the problem is this notion that we have to focus on the conspirators because they have the power
What?
to frame this whole thing. I'm saying don't choose to side with them. Focus on what matters. Let's change the frame. We won't ever prevent interested parties from doing wicked things. But we can choose to be grown-ups about it when it happens instead of children.
The Reds are not so great, but you gotta get over the Reds too. It's not good to keep angering, and just like how I'm crying right now, and it's good. It's good to like I think PP got into a little of a scrap just now, and she fought. She was trying to fight for a lizard before, because she got her anger out. It's good.
I agree. This whole thing's been a massive disinformation campaign. But how willful that's been and how much it's just been.
Thanks, Andy.
It's hard to say. I mean, look, there's been shit tons of perfectly well-intentioned leftists who have sided with this 100 million% for reasons implicit to themselves that have nothing to do with anybody motivating them.
It's what's crazy too is that we have voting soon. The voting's like what? Does it make it 6 months away?
Right. It shut down any meaningful presidential primary conversations.
PP
but was
is
it
a
intended
warrior.
to do that? No.
No, it's not. PB is a warrior. I was torn today. I'm like, ew. She's a lizard in here and she wants to kill it in front of me. But then I realized that's her nature. I wanted her to go outside with it. You can't talk common sense into a cat. So she,
See, although
I like seeing her play.
If that is in fact the case, it's probably pretty ill-advised because it's assuming you're dealing with a closed system. You can anticipate that the results from this run will not influence the response to the second run, which is insane. Because, of course, this changes the frame. It's an open system. A strange trial run to see how compliant.
Yeah, I mean,
by whom?
Well, I mean, we do have a president who knows how media runs. He was on TV, so.
But he opposed the alarmism.
I know. Yeah, but then he realized the popular stance was to.
He realized it was going to hurt him politically if he opposed it.
Right.
And he didn't have the reasons to back up what his punch. This is what I'm talking about.
He's like.
If I had been president, we wouldn't have this. It wouldn't matter what people did.
And I said that.
My cat's an ISFP. I've already typed the cat a long time ago.
Yeah. And she's my beneficiary type. I do benefit from her. She knows I'm talking about her. Oh my goodness.
I was proud of her. She's underneath that porch there. World War I was a trial run.
There's no other war like World War I.
A trial run by whom?
She is an artist.
Who are these people who were running everything? We're doing trial runs and real.
What did I say? I like to when I like to mess around with people, I say that the Titanic was a conspiracy theory. That's a good one, man.
Really, they've got all the survivors on Titanic still stashed away.
There's so many ancestors who have to hold the secret.
Right. We've got this whole island populated with Titanic survivors.
Yeah, that's where all the white money's coming from. Titanic survivors.
And the lizard people are standing guard over them and using them to implant. The bankers started World War I.
Yeah, most of them are part of the whatever. What are those people? The Masons.
Well, the bankers didn't declare war. They weren't. The bankers weren't the people in France who declared war on Germany. They weren't the people in England who declared war on Germany.
Some people believe that the love story in Titanic was true.
It's not? It's not? Are you serious? I could have sworn that was real.
I had to say, I got a lot of validation and I guess, felt a little vindication when a reporter was ballsy enough to ask Leonardo DiCaprio, like, now, if you were really in that situation, do you think that there was enough room on that board for a second person to have lived? And he said yes. he's like, yes, there was totally a second. Yes, another person could have fit on that board.
Read General Smedley Butler. Yes, the central bankers control every country on the planet. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, he finally had to answer the question.
What you're demonstrating is a fundamental misunderstanding of how systems work. This is not a game of Risk.
Well, Leonardo DiCaprio is still alive to show us that 25-year-olds will always be hot.
All right, do I want Trump to win against Biden? Man, it's really a toss-up.
And that if you're an actor who used to have good looks, you'll always get those 25-year-olds. That's one of those lessons.
I guess.
Oh God, this is a really.
That's a tough choice. I mean,
at least we know with this is like. At least we know what we're getting with Trump.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Like,
I guess yes. I guess I'd rather have Trump than Biden. I don't want to make that choice either.
No, I wonder if there's what the rate of people voting is going to be. I think. Hello, Victoria's Secret models, Louisiana, and the INFJ. Look it up.
So
he has a thing for them.
Apparently, Leonardo DiCaprio dates girls when they're like 18 or 19 and then breaks up with them as soon as they turn 25. They're Playboy bunnies that get kicked out of the house. Like that movie.
Exactly.
What was that movie called?
The House Bunny.
We never saw the end of it.
We never watched that together, but that is a show.
Yeah, we watched a little bit of it.
Did we? No, we never did. Maybe we did.
We watched just the very beginning of it.
Yes, we did, and then we never finished it.
I'd like to finish it.
We should. That was funny. It is a good thing you didn't name him. Yeah, he. You know what? I have this theory though. Okay, so he dated Blake Lively for like a hot second in like, I think it was like. Maybe, oh God, somewhere in the early 2011, 2011, around there. And like, he like really wooed her. And I think she was like over 25. So it was like out of his like range. She fucking broke his heart, like fucking stomped on it, flew to see Ryan Reynolds the next day. Boom. And this is legit. This really happened. This is a real breakup. So I don't blame him for going into his habit of Victoria models who are 18 and then breaking up with them.
Remember, Sarah, there is no true purpose to this. Even if it were launched intentionally, that intentional act would represent multiple diverse purposes by multiple diverse parties who agree on a given action for different reasons. So, no, you're wrong.
Yeah,
things like this are not causally reducible in the fashion you're indicating. Sorry. Period. End of discussion.
So yeah, Blake Lively, she made her choice and she was pretty. Yeah, that's why they didn't have the runway this year, and there probably won't be any more of those runways. I don't think, and I don't think the look of Amazonite will be that popular anymore either. Just gonna throw some healthy dose of advice for the media right there.
All right. So the thing is, what should you do for 2020? You should write in my name on the ballot.
Yeah. This is like so depressing. But adult girls are not Epstein's type. Exactly.
He's the Lucky Baldwin of our age.
the owner of Victoria's Secret is the one who dictates what's sexy. So whatever that dude is who's English, he's the one who decides. Jeffrey Epstein just collects money. And
Well, now he just collects worms.
Yeah. Yeah, we really no, we do select in the primaries. But if you're not labeled as Republican, Democrat, liberal, like I have nothing, you can't vote in the primaries, so you have no power when it comes to choosing your candidate. So that's a big thing.
This is the reality about all this is I'm going to try to change these horrible realities, okay? And it's going to have to come from a groundswell of consensus from the common person that it's time to elect a qualified candidate who represents non-divisiveness and who's also not simply a moderate. The correct course of action is not the middle ground. The correct course of action is the correct course of action in every instance. Sometimes it's side A, sometimes it's side B. What this country needs is a disinterested president who understands public policy well, who understands the law, who's got a clear moral center, who walks a narrow path, and who's not going to get into any sort of ethics problems, who's going to constrain the power of the office of the presidency itself, as it should have been constrained a long time ago, and who's going to work with case law in order to effect a more just society. And he's going to change the way that people talk about public policy.
That's good. I mean, when you take the job, you should know that you work for the people don't work for you. That's an ego thing.
Right. You're not king.
No.
This job of president is a job that requires a sense of patriotism and duty. I don't especially want the job because it seems very difficult and I have to talk to people who understand things through a multiplicity of different frames and have myself be understood. I've got to convince people like Waldo Ludowski that I'm not part of the evil conspiracy. I've got to convince people like Lawnmower that legitimate things are legitimate when they are. I have to look into things. Political types will declare me as evil and wrong, of course. The problem is, if they're doing that, I'm in a good position because I can answer everybody's questions. I can address all of these things. Other people cannot and will not. And, it's time for a new reality to dawn, a better reality, a reality in which the righteous, reasonable, intelligent, civil-minded people retake the natural power that they have. You're placing the locus of control outside of individual human beings like you and me. That's the problem. Even if you are right, you are focusing on how to empower them, which is something other than how should we be talking about this? That's the only meaningful question.
Well, how should we be?
Well, we need to be talking about what it means to make a policy decision, where our justifications come from. I would point out that in the status quo right now in California, all laws except COVID seem to have gone right out the window. Grocery stores are back to giving away free plastic disposable bags, even though there's a plastic bag law in California. Restaurants are back to giving straws, disposable straws. People aren't allowed to bring in their own. People are not allowed to bring in their own reusable bags anymore. A few years ago, there was all this big concern about people shouldn't go around with masks on because you won't be able to see who they are. It's a security threat for terrorists, right?
That's a serious thing.
Now everybody has to go around with a mask on. LA City, anyway, it's the law that you have to have a mask on when you're outside. So the thing is, it's important to note that what will save us here, though slowly, is rule of law. None of these actions that are undertaken by government bodies right now are really justified by any sort of legal justification. There's no reason to think that an emerging viral epidemic justifies the removal of basic liberties such as opening and running a business. If they are going to justify it, they better be quarantining everybody because of a very substantial risk of death, right? Like, in other words, we can talk about how we are responding to this and the overreach of government in meaningful ways. We cannot talk about where it came from adequately in meaningful ways. If we're fixated on that question, we're fixated on the wrong question, and we're facilitating the efforts of anybody who might actually be behind this. Okay? This is the important thing to remember. It's the same thing with race. You're doing the thing that the race people do. They go, racism is bad, so I'm going to be pro-black people. That's not good either, because that's a make-believe group that was generated by people who wanted to violate individual rights and justified it with this fictional thing called race. The same thing is true here. It's like, it doesn't matter if there is a conspiracy or a cabal that's behind it. If you're focused on who that cabal is and how they're controlling everything, you're missing the boat. The boat is, we can take that power by talking about things differently. CCP policy. What is CCP policy? I don't know what that is. My point is that there's not illegal justification except for emergency powers, right? But emergency powers have to be justified by an actual emergency. The courts are going to have to parse this shit out eventually. People are going to get arrested or ticketed or whatever, and the shit's going to get parsed out. Yes, I'm running for president in 2024 for sure, and I guess I'm running a write-in campaign for 2020. It's the best thing I can do to sort of get my name out there in advance, knowing I'm not going to win, but encouraging people to write my name in anyway as a show of solidarity and defiance. There is a national emergency for sure, but it's not COVID. You mean Chinese Communist Party? Those were seen by CCP.
My initial line is drawn this way, guys, just so you know. Yeah. For future questioning.
Well, look.
So well.
I mean, they are exercising their power in response to it inappropriately, I would say. But that doesn't necessarily mean at all that it's done for that purpose, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's. Here's the thing. Let's say you're right, lawnmower. I think it was ill-advised because I think it's going to backfire on them, and it's going to produce a resistance against this sort of Orwellian takeover. Because, what are people seeing? A vast overreaction to it, and it's difficult for people to anticipate how people are going to respond to something. You know. Remember, Swift Eagle, it doesn't matter what they're doing something for, quote, they or quote unquote doing something for. It matters how we choose to either facilitate efforts that are ill-intentioned or work against efforts that are ill-intentioned. Well, look, Waldo Ludowski, I'm not going to disagree with you necessarily about 9/11. I think that 9/11, there's lots of good reason to think that we were lied to about where, the source of that thing.
Yeah.
Building 7 in and of itself is sufficient to justify skepticism of the whole story. So I'm not disagreeing with you on that. And see, Waldo, this is something that's kind of important. Note that where you're right about something, I agree with you.
Who the hell?
So you should think hard if I'm disagreeing with you.
Who are the TI users? Is it I?
You're TI third. I'm TI
Am I
second.
user?
You're
Yeah,
a TI user.
yeah.
Yeah, you are.
And I don't do shit.
Well,
I don't talk about this shit at all.
What he means is TI1 too. Thanks. Keep it green, y'all. Let's keep it green, Rachel. You want to keep it green with me?
Yeah, I really do.
You look like you need to keep it green.
I do.
My poor baby.
Okay.
I know. I feel
need
you.
to feel the blues sometimes.
Look, and I've been feeling them too. And you've been saying, "What's wrong? What's the matter?" Well, you know, but it's the same thing you're going through right now. It's just sort of. It's just like
and vibes off of each other.
Six meows for every pia.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and indulge ourselves, okay? You think the outlet just fell from fire damage? Really? How did the fires get started?
No, just. I mean.
They weren't very big either.
But there was this. There was a whole movie.
They almost looked as though they were set to be to look like a fire. You know, they weren't big enough to just. There's no way.
They crashed down. They literally it crumbled in. People on the stairs who survived, like on the stairs, said it was coming from within. It collapsed within. Airplane cannot do that.
Okay, Swift Eagle, you're just talking at your ass now. The plane didn't exist. It was a hologram.
I don't know about I don't know
okay,
about
where is this hologram technology coming from? Will my opponents criticize me for smoking weed? Probably. I suspect that when it comes time to officially run for president, I might have to stop smoking weed during the duration of the campaign. I could do that. Project Bluebeam. Okay, so being able to distinguish between wacky shit and real shit is skill with NI to a certain extent, plus skill with NE. Good, strong intuitives can distinguish between real cause for saying there's a conspiracy here and complete fucking wild speculation.
You know, one year I had a teacher who he made us watch a movie about a conspiracy on 9/11, and I really liked it. It was good. He didn't say anything. He just let us watch it and make our own decisions whether we thought it was a conspiracy or not. I thought that was the right thing to do. Let students make this decision.
I mean, the thing that I tend to believe about 9/11 is that most of the 9/11 conspiracy sites after 9/11 were produced by CIA or something like that.
God, it was ridiculous. Pennsylvania?
I don't know what Sweden kill response is. Astrology. Can you tell me? Can you use your mouth to tell me?
I'm juggling way too much. We all know.
Sweden was smart. Never had lockdown. Now they're all right. Good job, Sweden.
Yeah, who cares? They also have Swedish meatballs and have
too many Islamic refugees.
And
way too many
that are very difficult for furniture.
You want to pull it up? Hat.
I felt that. You did all right? Yeah, that happened to me before. I'm sorry.
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
the ouchie hot pull.
Oh, it's okay. Don't you stress your pretty little head about it, darling.
Thanks.
Here, have some coffee.
Thanks, Gemini mate.
That's spelled G-I-R-L. Gemini mate. You spelled it wrong. You spelled it like the word hurl.
Well, Gemini, I have a question. My birthday is January 16th. So I've read that I'm on the cusp of Aquarius and Capricorn. What would you say to that? I cough a lot.
If I were a tooth, I'd be on the cusp of a bicuspid
Really?
and an incisor.
We have the same birthday?
That's mortgage.
March? That's so cool. What?
Rhymes with porridge.
But,
Oh, hip.
19th and 23rd. That's changing it. Wait, 85? 4-2? That's pretty unusual.
It has to be a few days of the sign to be a cusp.
Everyone's changing it. I don't know. They also have the other, yeah, EA. And they have that new sign too, or Osiris or something. I don't fucking know.
Yes, lawnmower, I am an ENTP. What are your Venus and Mars signs?
Pisces, both.
They're both
They're
Pisces.
conjunct.
She's got two fish.
Yeah, I do.
Got two fish up in the mix. What are my Venus and Mars signs?
Aries and Capricorn.
Call me a Arapricorn or Capri. Capricorns. Well, I mean, people use that term to mean different things. And Rachel's an INFJ. Yes, we're MBTI compatible, depending on who you ask. According to Socionics, we're not duals, but according to Myers-Briggs, we're the best. You know, it's like that's the best match for each other.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It depends who you ask. But yeah, we're a great match as far as I'm concerned, MBTI wise. I think we're a better match than ISFJ and ENTP. And I think we're a better match than ESTP and INFJ. Dual schmools. Exactly, Gemini made. Exactly. Dual schmules. I appreciate that sentiment.
I think I'm lucky.
Well, I think some of them are more accurate than others. Like, I think their description of the supervisor relationship is pretty good. I think that's one of the best ones. Like
Supervisor is the best.
I mean, it's one of the most accurate. The supervisor relationship is most generally true for all the supervisors' relationships. Whereas other ones are more wildly different between different types. You know?
It can be. I find as I've gotten older though and more independent, I found that contrary relationships are really difficult to maintain. Like that, as I've gotten older, it's like.
What do you think about ENFP as a made for INFJ?
Friends, not good lovers.
I mean, the thing is, I think that match won't last long at all because the ultimate value that the ultimate value that INFJ won't allow to be crossed is fairness. If they think you're being unfair, they're not going to tolerate that.
Yeah.
Whereas ENFPs, their ultimate value they won't allow to be crossed is efficacy, regardless of fairness, and so they're going to run afoul of each other.
Yeah. So they're extinguishers. So it's interesting. My dad's an ENFP. So I'll come downstairs and I'll be like, oh my God, I watched this movie and this plot. And he'll be like, And then there's times where he's like, oh yeah, this band, and I'm like, so like it extinguishes my excitement. So anything that I'm excited about, he's like not excited about. Anything that he's excited about, I'm not excited about. And we both extinguish each other's like excitement. So there's like a sibling kind of like feel to the relationship, because you kind of like have the same interests in common, but like one always feels like that they know best about the other subject and they just don't listen. It's just a crisscross of
Kyra says ENTP. There's not any sexual energy is the thing. It's like there's an immediate understanding of the other person and a quick realization that you're both taking turns being ENTP, and that you need a non-ENTP in the mix for both of you. You know, the only way ENTP, even conversations play out very well is if one of them is specifically seeking advice from the other or some sort of attention a certain way. So it's like it works fine if you're like, okay, can I talk to you? I need some advice, and then one ENTP will be great. But if they're just both chatting with each other, they both are in need of an audience. So the thing is, there's sort of a sibling-y thing.
what?
ENTP.
It's been I feel like that again. Like I was thinking about the contrary types. Whenever I take advice from an ENFP, I regret it. It's like because they're going with their heart and I'm going with my head, in the situation. Like one time I was having problems at work and my dad was like, well, you're going to be going into offices where you're going to have to deal with this. Like, this is life. And I'm like, no, these people suck. And I have the option to quit. Like you're not taking my feeling. He wasn't taking my feelings into consideration. He cared more about the flow of the work and being adjusted to society. And so he told me to stay. And if it wasn't for an ENTP, I would still be, I wouldn't be working there today because they crumbled. But INFJ, ENFP, they can be really good friends, but they don't really support each other.
So, the other thing is this question of INFP, INFJ. Well, that's like ENTP, ENTJ. And
I'd like to hear about that.
I mean, I think there's an appearance of much more common ground than there is. So it's like
true.
There will be both parties will be kind of constantly confused by why the other one is talking past them. And so but of course the thing of INFP, INFJ, you're looking at FI Dom with an NI Dom. They're both introverts. Any tool with FE tool. The FE tool and any tool will make sure that each party validates on the other's fifth slot function, which is a good thing. The SI third and TI third are not incompatible, although they're not necessarily complementary. And TE fourth and SE fourth, not incompatible, though, and pretty complementary. So the issue is when you get to the backstack where you've got your six slot function.
Sandy.
Which is the problem, I think.
What is the... I mean, you can't... Like, I think what Gemini is saying is, like, true. Like, I think it's fun to look into that stuff, and there's some accuracy to a lot of it. Like, I think I over the past 10 years, I've been studying astrology, and I know it well. I read it really well. Tarot as well, too. And it's all very, like, entertainment. It really is. Like, if I didn't believe it, I don't think this relationship would even happened. And, like, at the same time, if I believed it completely, we wouldn't be together. So there's magic and reality on the planet we call Earth. It's just, how much you believe in it and how much when you use it for the better good.
Okay, so I want to address a couple things I've seen here. One, INTP doesn't ultimately work because their values don't line up. Absolute and instrumental. For me, ideation is an absolute value. For them, it's always got to be framed as linked to some sort of judgment. So it's like you extrovertly intuit in order to come to a final conclusion about things. When I come to a final conclusion, I continue going on, and that bothers INTPs. And that's a point of conflict. But there's not a lot of, neither party is very good at taking care of the moist parts of things. And they both are needy in that area.
You're good for advice, I feel like. I watched this one where Sue was helping you after, like, something that, like, happened between you and an ESFP, and that she had really good, like, neutral advice coming from a female.
Right. They are good for advice, and they're good friends, but I don't think they work out as lovers together because there's nobody who's balancing the thinking frame, which needs to happen. Now, the other question I want to address there is sexual compatibility between INFJ and HB
is
very good.
Yes. That is right.
The other thing is to note that, Rachel and I, because we're a couple of FETI types, it takes a long time to get into genuine authenticity. So things continue to, like, I'd say, improve and evolve as we increasingly stop fronting.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we both go into this relationship thinking with the same basic strategy, which is we're going to attend to the communicable aspects of things, which is to say, we're not going to be the one who's guilty of being selfish or being not responsive to the other person or whatever.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's like what we keep learning is that the heuristics we use to accommodate the incompatibilities we've had with previous people, that they get in the way when we continue to try to apply them with each other because they're forms of compromise that neither of us want. And in fact, it's like what we want is the same thing ultimately.
Yeah, it always is.
So
we are always on the same page.
It's weird, but look, the thing is, I don't necessarily think every INFJ and ENTP are going to get along nearly as well.
No, exactly. And I think that, first of all, I'm 35. I know I look younger, but I'm 35, right? Yeah. And you just turned 49. So we've lived and learned. Like, I've dated different types. I've actually never dated an ENTP though before, and
which is good.
Yeah, I've never it is really good. It is really good because I feel beta quadra are so, like, independent. Like, we feel like we, like, have to, like, be on our own with, like, relationships, but we feel like we have to be, like, independent. Like, I think of beta fish. You can't put two beta fish into the same tank together or they're gonna fight. So I think of them as beta quadrant being very independent in and like wanting their things, say imperious. But I think of the alpha quadrant as being very like relationship oriented and like warm and
I think that there are multiple factors here to consider in terms of compatibility. One of them is Enneagram compatibility. We're both sevens.
We're both sevens.
Which I think is important because you get to experience what it's like when the other person's genuinely not judging you for being a slacker, but instead going like, yeah, that's right, that's how we do it. Let's slack properly. And then the other thing is you got to have compatibility on the instinctual variant, or what might also be called the same page question. If two people are very much on the same page, in other words, they both want very much, their goal is to be genuinely or seeking a healthy relationship, then those two people, even if they are incompatible in a lot of other ways, can very well make things work out, at least, and be reasonably happy. Because I think that's the most important question. If you want to be in a long-term monogamous relationship, it's for you to be an SX instinctual variant, which means for that fundamentally to be the thing that makes you happy is to be part of a two-person team, that you're fundamentally aligned to be a member of a two-person team rather than solo or a part of a group, a larger group, as your basic identity. If you see yourself as a member of a big family, and it's not just me and my husband, we're all part of the extended family, we go to all these events. You're an SO type. You're a social type.
That is social type. Yeah,
and if you are like, I can't be tied down so much by this one person, the generalist saying something like, he was saying about he already knows what he wants to do, and this other person's going to impose on that too much. Well, that references Enneagram and instinctual variance. So that's SP. But if you're an SX type, you genuinely want to be in a long-term relationship and be part of a two-person team. And you're looking for somebody else who understands that fundamental frame. I was last with an SP. And
I was too.
And she was like SPSO SX. Least well positioned to be in a long-term relationship. Rachel is SX and 7. So am I. I'm SX and 7. That helps a lot in terms of compatibility.
I was with a 5. So you had BPD, right? BPD 9 or no,
6.
BPD 8. She was 6.
684.
684. Okay, so BPD 6. So she would fret everything beforehand.
Yeah, she's a fretter.
And then be like, well, if this is my way, so fuck you.
Right.
And so she was SPSO. SO. Oh, fuck that. Well, I had a disaster too. BPD 5 SX SP 5 wing 6 SX XP 5. He didn't want to go anywhere. He wanted any accountability for anything. He used his SX as a leverage to do whatever the fuck he thought he wanted he could. Also the BPD, tantrums and shit. They throw tantrums. They literally, if things do not go their way, they will make it so that you get I would be afraid. I was afraid. He used fear.
I remember one time early in our relationship, I was yelling at you, and you and you spoke more quietly and calmly, and that caused me to speak more quietly and calmly. And you noted at that moment, okay, well, that's good. You're responding to my mood changes.
Yeah.
because that's not what the BPD person provided you. It was any kind of response, because of course they were FE polar as well.
Yes, he wanted. He was not satisfied until I cried.
So, we both come into this relationship damaged by those experiences somewhat, but we also come into this relationship with some overactive defenses sometimes.
Yeah.
Which is like.
I don't know.
Coming from New York. Hello? Yeah? Hi, how's it going? I don't know. I didn't do anything like that. Huh. Okay, well, not. Yeah, are you in room 1? Okay, well, I'm live stream right now. I can't really have this conversation right now. Hey. So.
Is audio on in your live stream?
Yeah, hold on a second. Okay. Who knows what's going on? Those things are problems.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to hear that room 2's full.
Yeah.
I didn't know people were still using those things.
Everything cut.
Look, I clean up well, and the other thing is, I both like and hate Berman Supreme. I like him because he allows me to draw a distinction between this is what I am not. I am not that. But I hate him because people tend to go, oh well, all people with beards are just absurdists. I'm not an absurdist. I'm not an ENFP. I'm an ENTP.
Where did you put the bomb?
Ball's
Oh.
right there. There's bowl right there on top of that ready for you. Just gotta put it in the bowl. You might want to poke it first though.
Poke it? Yeah.
Poke it right there.
Thank you. Gemini, we do have a very like friendly relationship.
Finally, we have one of the people to blame. It's the Antarcticans who are to blame for everything.
Ow, fucker. Yeah, you're right.
We
We really need a pot. We get that. Give and let live.
What?
Give it all. Never quit. Towel. We can use that as a pot.
Right. Or you just put this thing around.
Pot plate. No. What? That conducts the energy?
And then
Oh.
when you pull it out, you can just yeah. You see.
Gotcha. Cool. Nice, babe.
So we finally figured out who's to blame for everything. It's the Antarcticans.
Obviously. Those penguins.
They're probably colluding with the Arcticans.
Thanks, Waldo. You noticed. Yes, I am wearing green eyeliner, and it does match the shirt.
The Antarcticans are colluding with the Arcticans and the Atlanteans.
If you want to hack the system back, I'm okay with them. Fair play. Where the hell?
Well, Curious Kyra, come
I don't
2024,
really mean that.
part of your life's mission will be to help me become president. Okay?
Yeah. Yes. I
And,
agree to that.
I'm
only joking about the hacking. Please do not do that because I feel responsible.
And when I do become president, you will see what it looks like for a professional president to be president. That's the thing. We haven't had a professional president since. Here you go.
Thank you.
Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
And he was it's like, even though he's a professional president, in the sense that he dealt with the job, took the office, did his job, he did his job.
He did do his job.
The Atlanteans never colluded with anybody? Not even the Mer people? I'm pretty sure the Atlanteans colluded with the Mer people. Okay, Waldo, you got me. It's ice waterfalls all the way down.
Fooey. I call fooey.
Bill was very successful all over Monica's dress. Will you stop reducing
Yeah.
poor Monica Lewinsky to a CUM dumpster?
She did herself. She does. I told you she does tech.
Yeah, she's more than just a CUMRAG.
Yeah, she does TED Talks now, just like everyone else can.
Right. Except me, for some reason, I can't do a TED Talk.
Why?
I know, I should totally do a TED Talk.
You're best for that. No, you could on your system of finding a mate. No, but the functions.
I'm just playing Ooh La La. Ooh La La is
Oh.
a character who's very interested in things that are sensual.
So, meaning me.
Mr. Ooh La La. Right now, I'm being Mr. Ooh La La.
Why? Why is the economy in Antarctica at all-time low?
The penguin market.
Yo, Pooh,
Bomb has
what
dropped out of the
too?
penguin
We
market.
heard that your rooms are like crowded from light bulb, and that you can get in.
I once shook Billy Clinton's hand. He had velvety soft paws. Yeah, I bet, Waldo. I bet. I bet that Bill Clinton's hands are velvety soft.
No, you're not gonna get jealous until you see some really good, sexy jackets that the Clintons bought. Oh man, they're such a sexy couple.
Come on, everybody. Do the conga. You know you can't control yourself any longer.
Jackets.
So says Miami sound system. So say we all. Ugly jacket and pant combo?
No.
Boutonniere?
No, I want to say shades, but like sunglasses.
Images.
Yeah.
That is quite an ugly jacket.
And then he was like wearing a leather jacket next to her or whatever. You know, like to look like to try to like save face by looking cool, but they both just look so uncool together. They took down most of the pictures.
There's a lot of them right
Here. Oh my god. Doesn't that look like an Asian couple who does not love each other?
Well, Hillary is.
I can't.
Hillary seems like
Thank you.
Hillary seems like she was born to be a Saturday Night Live character. You know?
She really was.
I'm Hillary. We've got to do this thing. I'm Hillary.
Oh my god. Get that water for her. Yeah, so, and then he got this like moto jacket. Trying to be like, yeah, this is still cool, but it's not. So that's the couple they are. You know, a guy, he's what?
Oh, poor Waldo. A lot of citizens invade your space. Well, you know. Not really.
Upgrade Citizens Brigade.
I don't feel like my space is invaded by a lot of citizens. It's just me and Rachel here.
Yeah, PP.
All you guys. I wouldn't consider you invaders, though. I'm out of cigarettes. I think we should maybe run quickly to the store to get cigarettes and then go to bed. Or if you don't want to go, you don't have to.
What?
Because you're in underwears. Saying if you don't want to go to the store to get cigarettes with me, you don't have to.
Oh, I'll sit in the car.
Okay, cool. You don't really live in Antarctica, do you? Curious, Kyra. That would be really interesting.
It really would be.
Did actually live in Antarctica.
How much light do you get?
I don't think she lives in Antarctica. She's just joking. She's being an
Who?
ETP. I'm pretty sure Curious Kyra's an ETP. We were promised to Prague, bagels on the streets. That's funny, Vayner Moynihan. You live in California.
Cool.
Right on. They opened up the beaches. You can go to the
Did
beach
they?
now. Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Oh, you know why, right? Because this weekend is Memorial Day or Labor Day, Memorial Day
It's
thing.
Memorial Day.
Yeah, so like USA, we're not gonna take away your barbecues and fun. Be in a bikini, have a beer, forget about COVID. Go to the beach.
I'm tired of penguins messing up our fun.
Yeah, me too. Unless they're wearing a suit and tie, then I totally get it. That's real serious.
This is my indication that it's time to go. I have to find them out. I love my Rachel so much.
Thanks.
I'm excited to go to bed and relax.
Me too.
I feel a lot of loving emotions.
Oh, I feel so many emotions for you too. Oh my goodness. What if you were here? You're my emotion bucket.
My emotions are made entirely out of moist tenderness.
You're the baby love cheese of my life.
Thanks,
you really
baby.
are, though. I love you.
I love you too. I love you with FI.
That's so dangerous.
I know.
I love you with FI too. And I know
Pretty
it's
risky. I
dangerous
love
too.
you
It
with
is.
real FI, huh?
Aw.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Those are pecs.
I love my Rachel with emotional feelings. Things like love, attachment, moisture, harm prevention. Appreciation, other FI considerations. Real FI. You might not be seeing it right now. This might be FE, sure, for you.
California King Bread's rule. I slept in one once and I was able to sleep like a starfish and it was amazing.
Top 3 albums?
Scott Walker.
Top 3 albums, huh?
See, I feel like if the name is not nationally known, it doesn't count. Oh my God. Sorry, man. That's me real judgmental. Keep your number 2.
I would say
Aw, Zandy. I love him too.
well, 3 albums that come to mind are like Don't Fake in the Night Fly comes to mind as a good album. Blue by Joni Mitchell comes to mind as a good album.
Oh my gosh, that album makes me cry.
Sad.
Maybe I should be listening to Joni Mitchell. She makes me cry.
Yeah, she's sad. She's sad AF. Another good album is
My bad, guys. Yeah.
Marshall Mathers LP.
That's legendary.
There's-
That changed so much stuff, like culture right there. It's a great album.
Now we're gonna toss some other couple of ones in the mix. I might mention Led Zeppelin, either 1 or 2, and I might mention a Beatles album, like maybe the White Album.
We're made to be together.
Or possibly, either Magical Mystery Tour or
Cool.
Sgt. Pepper's. Those I think are probably the
Oh
three
my
best.
God! I have
Or Revolver. Revolver's really good too.
Revolver's my favorite.
Revolver's a good one.
I have my dad's Magical Mystery Tour album that I've been wanting to give away to someone forever. And you know the album?
Oh,
You're
wow.
actually going to appreciate it.
I listened
I was
to it
just
on
keeping
LP
it-
as a kid a lot.
Wow.
Mhm.
That is love. Like literally, like my dad gave me Magical Mystery Tour album because it was one that he didn't trash. Like he didn't keep his albums nice because he didn't think any of his kids was gonna like music, but I do. And so I was like, yay! But I don't have a record player. And I was like, you know what? I want to give this to someone who's like really gonna love it. And it's yours, baby. So it's yours.
Thanks, darling.
Yeah.
There's a couple other albums that sort of get into my mix. There's a Pavement album called Brighten the Corners. I used to listen to a lot. There's a Cake album. I don't remember which one it was. I don't think it was Comfort Eagle. I don't know the one after that. You know what? Maybe that was the one I'm talking about, RW. It might have been Slanted and Enchanted that I ultimately. Brighten the Corners is the one with Stereo and Shady Lane on it. But the actual better album all the way through is a different one. So,
Good album is a really good question because I don't really listen to albums anymore. I have like track mixes, a lot of them.
right. Yeah, I don't listen to a lot of albums anymore either. So,
Okay, so I'm going to throw in one that's kind of banal. But my first CD I ever bought on my own was Third Eye Blind, their first album.
I'm not familiar with that album. I'm assuming it's the one with that hit song, huh?
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. And then LCD Sound System.
I have not heard the new Gorillaz track. Anthrax.
Neither
I'll
have
check
I.
it out.
That's cool. He worked with the Gorillaz. That's dope. That's a combo I can see.
Pet Sounds is a good album. I top that in the mix.
Pet Sounds is a good album.
But you know what? Not an album I have listened to as much as any of the other albums on my list here. So maybe that's why the thing is, I have some albums from my childhood that loom large in my memory that are not probably as good as maybe I like. They're bigger than they are good because of their presence in my childhood. One such album is Mr. Roboto by Styx.
Oh, that's such a good.
It is
It
quite
really
a good
is
album.
good. It is
I
good.
listened to the shit out of that one as a kid. I love
So don't worry, got to Mr.
Yeah.
I love it. Their greatest hits is so good.
Is it?
So good.
Probably.
I spent 2012 summer smoking J's and listening to Six Greatest Hits in my room while my parents were away, like feeling the vibes so much. It's so good.
I am the modern man.
I like
I agree.
Too Much Time on My Hands. I really like that song.
Sorry, kitty.
Too much time.
What do you need? More food? You out of food already? We're totally out of food.
Yeah, for Kitty. Well, we had tuna.
We gave her tuna. You need to not be picky, kitty. You're fine. I'm not familiar with that King Crimson record. There's a couple of really good They Might Be Giants albums. There's a couple of good Cake albums.
It does.
I remember when it came out, I probably oversold in my head because I don't find myself listening to it a lot. That Flaming Lips record.
Yo, that is so good. That's such a good album. I actually think that Radiohead and Rainbows is a pretty good album. That'd probably be like number 8 on my list. I really want to look at.
There's a couple of good Steely Dan albums you can stick on there. That's a good album.
Wow. Where's my phone?
I remember that Six album, Mr. Roboto, it was very much like a rock opera. It told this story about the Orwellian menace and the power of the rock and roll rebels to stand up against it, you know?
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it had this song called,
Sorry, dudes. I'm like really stony at the moment.
We're gonna be rock and roll.
Oh. Oyster grape. Oh, great kitty.
It's called Kilroy's Here is the album name, actually. The song Mr. Roboto is not the name of the album. So Don't Let It End was the sad song that was like the slow song that sometimes I'd skip over, but I liked it a lot. I'd sing it a lot along with it too.
I'm the happy-looking grandpa of the Chinese neighborhood.
I gotta listen to this for a second, then I'll get the tune and then I'll be able to sing it. I don't want to get copyright.
It's fun.
It goes like, I'm tired of your psychology to bring me to my bended knees. And if I could only talk to you, I'm sure that I could make you see. 'Cause time has a way of bringing even mountains down, down, down. Storm clouds are coming, I suggest you head for higher ground. I say you're a thing of the past and you ain't gonna last, no matter what you say or do. It's all caught up to you. You're duty free or tax exempt, you party with the president. And you dance so naturally, why not believe you're heaven sent? But time has a way of bringing even mountains down, down, down. There's a storm cloud a-coming, I insist you head for higher ground. You talk, and you get so intense that you almost make sense. And that's what scares me the most. You are the host of Celebrity Lies. It's prime time, baby, can't you see in my eyes? It's a cold war running in the streets. Everybody you meet knows it's going down, don't you know? Cold war blowing in the air. Everyone everywhere says it's time to get ready for a cold war. Don't you look now, but the skinny boy's a street fighting man.
You're so good.
I remember the melody of it perfectly.
You're so good.
It's called Cold War by Styx. It's part of this rock opera that I was really into when I was like, I don't know, 10 years old or
Rock
something.
opera. I think that's an NE thing too. My dad's into well, maybe NEFE. Ugh, I knew it.
Hey.
She's looking for a fight though.
Well, she's protecting her territory. What's going on around here?
Trouble. Yeah, PB.
Yeah, it's midnight. Is Kitty not in here?
No, she's not. She did go out. I saw her. I she's looking for a fight.
I mean, that's the thing. The Who is terrible. Okay, this is the thing. This is one of those bands. I don't know if Rachel. I've never talked to Rachel about this before. Personally, I think the Who is terrible. Of all those big bands, your Rolling Stones, your Led Zeppelin, your Beatles, your Queen, your big bands, the Who is distinctly more terrible than any of the others. That's what I think. They've got one good song.
Yeah, the one that everyone calls the wrong name.
Pinball Wizard?
Yeah.
What do they call it?
They call it. Oh no, not even that one. The one that's like Teenage Wasteland, but that's not the name of it either.
Pinball Wizard's pretty good.
Teenage Wasteland.
Teenage Wasteland's not terrible, I guess.
Oh, Teenage Wasteland.
What's Odyssey and the Oracle? I've never heard of it. Is it an album or a band?
Capio.
Beep beep. Meow meow.
Hmm.
Baba O'Reilly?
Baba O'Reilly. Exactly. That's Teenage Wasteland. Baba O'Reilly.
Okay, Zombies
I like
got
Zombies.
some great songs and are,
I think they're underrated.
yeah. I don't know which of their albums though, you know?
They're good.
The warmth of your smile is like the warmth of the sun.
When you
And
say that,
this will be our year. Took a long time to come.
when you say that to me at the beach.
And I won't forget the time you held me up when I was down. And I won't forget, darling, you move me. You give me strength to go on. Now it's there. Has only just begun. This will be our year. This will be our year. Took a long time to come. That's a great song. You know, talking about my generation is not a good song. No, it's not. The Who are bad. Let's just all come to accept that reality. The Who are bad. They're not as bad as Elton John, but they're still bad. You're not a good song, RW.
That's funny. That's a good comeback.
Yeah, that is a great comeback. You on what army, RW?
Yeah, you and Army. That's another one. The Who.
The Who. No, they're called The Who.
You singing that just like I'm so verklempt.
It's because they're not good, Curious Cover, that's why. You know what's another terrible band? Jethro Tull.
Yeah.
Terrible.
What's their song? What's the song about?
Goes through the desert with a horse with no name, and I go
that's
meet some
them?
trees, and I'm super,
No, that's-
super lame. No?
Wait.
Is it horse with no name?
No, that's
Jethro Tull?
America. It's America.
Well, what's Jethro Tull? It's like blue, 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 mystic
I don't
blue
know.
times.
Go, look
It's like
it
that
up,
kind of
look it
music,
up.
yeah.
I'm finding out.
Blue, blue, blue,
I
blue,
believe
blue,
you.
blue.
You have good taste in music.
Jethro
Phoebe. It's a girl.
Aqualung is their most famous song, and it's 7.5 minutes long.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, Aqualung. Yeah, so Jethro Tull is the Sitting on a Park Bench song. Oh, that's terrible. Oh my god, that song is bad.
Yeah, it was.
Sitting on the park bench. Ay, ay, ay.
The name does not match the song.
Goblin is unlistenable except during Halloween parties. What's Goblin? Italian rock? Never heard of it.
That's like good albums. It's like a really. Oh, you know what's a great album? Green Day's Dookie.
Dookie.
I always talk
Yeah,
about that.
Dookie's a good album.
Yeah, it's got a lot of hits on it. It's good. It's a good album.
It's true. You speak truth. Shame on your family, RW. Shame on your family.
What else is another good album? Oh, hello, never mind. Or anything. By what's the one with them with the Nirvana with the baby penis?
Never mind.
Yeah, never mind. That's a great album.
Yeah, it's a great album. Even though it's like there's not a lot of songs on there that I would make my like hits.
No, I would
List.
never say that. Your ENTs are very like you're like an infant kind of. So like what you're gonna absorb that. Like, you know, I feel like you and Kurt could hang though. Like I feel like you could hang with Kurt because you would
Kurt
get
needed
him.
a hug from
Yeah.
me.
Oh my god, imagine what a handsome like hug that would be.
Holy balls, I will take so much Jethro Tull over Green Day. Oh my god.
Whoa. Who said that?
That means not only do you like it bad, you like it bad for a long time.
Who said that?
RW. If you want to listen to
Ew.
7.5 minutes of Jethro
Ew.
Tull going sitting on the park bench,
What the fuck?
be my fucking guest.
What the fuck? No way.
Go for it.
No way.
You go ahead and listen to that
I
shit.
say no.
RW. What a ridiculous sentence. Green Day didn't suck.
No, Dookie was a great album.
Not
It was
everything-
iconic for its time.
Not everything that Green Day makes is great. But
And Nevermind was as well. It's just not for everyone. You're not gonna have your 3-year-old listen to Nevermind. Like,
not until they're 4.
no.
All right.
Nirvana
time for us
is
to go.
legendary.
It is already
That's
after
11:11.
It's 11:11 already. And
a
that
wish.
means
Yeah. Green Day had two, we were talking about that. They did 2 good albums. Where the hell? If PP is under, I'm hoping PP. Can we
she's
let's
fine.
see?
She's fine. That last fight was a lot worse than the earlier fight.
I know.
I mean, the last fight.
She's
I'm sorry.
feisty though.
I
know.
got it. I got it backwards.
She
The last
knew.
fight was not nearly as bad as the earlier.
Oh, okay, good.
So okay. Let's There's motivate to go to gate.
End of grunge? Maybe, I don't know. Grunge lasted basically all the 90s. The 2000s killed grunge.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Now that you've all been corrected about what you were wrong about regarding music, you can go to bed tonight and think, here's how I have a lot to learn.
Oh my god, Nickelback. Oh my god. Nickelback is so funny. Nickelback is the Vine. Look at this graph. Yes, Nickelback.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
We love you.
We love you.
Not as much as each other, but we love you.
Yeah.